Hello and welcome back to the next stage in our mech creation process. And it's quite a simple wee beast at the moment. So I'm going to turn on ambient occlusion here. We'll look at that later in the year. When we turn it on, you'll see what it'll do. It'll add in sort of shadows and give a lot more depth to our model. If we play the game, that ambient occlusion will go away. So we have to come up with a different method of actually including it in the game. You can't just turn it on here and see it in the viewport. So anyway, let us proceed. So what we're going to look at in this section here is we're going to look at building a leg for our mech. Now I'm going to click over here and we're going to add in our leg. So I'm going to start by adding a circle, and I'm going to rotate it. Before I rotate it, I'm going to change the vertex count. So it's 32, which is quite smooth, but probably too many verts for what we're trying to do. So I'm going to reduce that to 12. Now I'm going to rotate it on the y-axis by 90 degrees. Which reminds me to turn on my screencast keys. So to rotate it by 90 degrees on the y-axis, you press OR, and then Y, and then 90, and then Enter or left click to confirm. And hopefully you'll be able to see that now. So this is our circle. It's too large, so I'm going to scale it down a bit. Now, this mech's going to have a joint here, circular joint that'll attach to the body. The leg, there'll be a weight up here, it'll come down, and then come down here to a knee joint, which will be circular. That knee joint will then come down here, and there'll be another circular or semicircular joint to the foot. So we've got sort of 1, 2, 3 joints. Now, the easiest way to do this is to make something that's symmetrical, and to save ourselves a whole bunch of modeling, we basically make one part and then mirror modifier, use the mirror modifier to duplicate it multiple times, and that reduces the amount of modeling we have to do. So let's go into edit mode and see what we can do here. So I've got a circle, which is great. Reduce the size of it, and I'm going to extrude it and scale it up, and I want this circular area to turn into a more kind of cubic shape. So I'm going to pick these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go S, Y, 0. So scale to 0 on the y-axis. I'm going to do the same over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. S, Y, 0. 1, 2, 3. SZ 0. 1, 2, 3. SZ 0. So now we have a square outside of our circle. Now there's a number of ways to do that. You could use a Boolean operation. You could subtract a circle from a square. But what we've done there, I think, is probably the easiest way to do it. Now, I'm going to press C for circle select, and then I'm going to hold down the left mouse button and deselect. Oops. And I'm going to get rid of my CCleaner alert. Okay, so I'm going to deselect these guys. And I'm going to extrude this along the y-axis to there. And I'm going to do the same over here. Okay, so this is basically part of our leg. Now, the origin of this object is right here, and the mirror modifier works around the origin. So I'm going to go GX and move this across. I'm going to go to my modifier stack, and I'm going to turn on a mirror modifier. We're going to go into object mode. Now where is my mirror modifier? I can't see it, so we'll try turning on different axes. Okay, so the Z axis is what I wanted to mirror on, so either side of the Z axis. Now when I go back into edit mode, I select the circumference of the outside of this object and I turn on clipping. If I extrude inwards, so negatively on X, they'll join in the middle and they won't overlap. If I turn off clipping and then this way, it will overlap the geometry, and I don't want that, so I'm going to turn it back on and go GX and let's keep pushing until they join in the middle. Now that's fantastic. We have, you know, part of our leg, but we can do more than that with the mirror modifier. We can, in edit mode, select it all and then go GY and move it to here. Now I know the geometry has disappeared in here, but I'm not worried about that for now. What I'm interested in is this here. So I'm going to go GY and just push this a little bit past the origin, and then I'm going to click on the Y axis. Suddenly we have a mirror modifier, so we're duplicating left to right, and also, or you know, on X we're also duplicating on Y. Now clipping is turned on, so when I push this along on the Y axis, GY, it will join together as well. Okay, now we have internal geometry, which is never good, so I want to delete the internal faces where they join. So I'm going to go X, delete faces. Okay, so now we have a very interesting object. It's still got a hole in it, so let's go fix that. So let's make that so that it's more complete. So to select a loop select, if you right click on each vertex, you'll select it. If you hold down the Alt key and click in between two, you'll select all connected vertices. Now extrude on X, bring it in there. So now we've got what looks like a piece of Meccano. We can start building our leg from this. Now we could add a mirror modifier, or sorry, not mirror modifier, subdivisions over surface modifier. Set it to be smooth. If you wanted a more organic look, that adds more geometry. So it's up to you whether you want that look or not. So I'm going to leave that like that. I think it looks a bit better. Now I'm going to move this down here. Now we must move it roughly into position. Okay. So I'm just moving that by eye into position. So when we're making this leg, it's a bit like using Lego. So my preference is not to go into edit mode and start duplicating things. Although we could do that. We could apply our mirror modifier and then use mirror modifiers to build. But again, my preference is not to do that, to keep it separate for now. So with this here, I haven't named anything here, so we should really name these. We'll call this Mech body, Mech chair, and Mech cage. We'll call this Mech leg 1. Now, so what I'm going to do, and again I'm just going to do it by eye, I'm going to go Shift D and hit escape. Now I've duplicated the leg by using the Shift D command, and if you look up here I've got Mech leg 1 and then Mech leg 1.001, so I've got a duplicate. When I go GX, you can see there's one directly underneath the one I've just made. So I want to make 3 of them. And leave a very small gap between them. Okay, so rename these. I'll call that 2, on the one and that one there is going to be 3. Now, I want this one to swing down, the middle one, but I want it to swing down here at this point. So how do I do that? Well, I go into edit mode. The last vertices we selected were at circle there, so I can go Shift S, cursor to selected. The cursor is going to move in between all of the selected vertices because we selected a circle. It's right in the middle. So if I go down here now, and this is my rotation, kind of my pivot point. I go rotate around pivot, so I can go or 45, and it's going to rotate around there, and I can take both of these and go or minus 45, and now we're starting to get something that resembles our very kind of basic mech leg. Now, I'm going to select all 3 of them, and then again just move it sort of into place, roughly. We start to get a better idea of how this is going to look. Now we can go in and amend the shapes of all these and make them a bit more interesting looking. Now, with these guys here, I'm actually going to go or 45. I'm going to flatten this. I can always undo that. So or 45. Oops. And what I want to do is I want to go Shift D, G, Y, and then go GX. Okay, and then we'll select these and go or minus 45. Okay, and in order to get these to roll now, we're going to have to go cursor to selected, go back to around cursor, and then or minus 45. So I want to hang weights off the top of this, so I just wanted to extend it first. There's other ways to do like what I did there, but so if I go GY, it'll move on the y-axis, and GYY, it'll move on its own y-axis. So by pressing Y twice. So I could have done it that way as well. Probably would have been easier that way. Okay, so now we have something that's not, miles away from what we wanted to make. We still have to make obviously the pin that goes through these, but that's straightforward enough. And we want to make a foot as well. And again, we'll probably cut this off a little bit or customize it. But that's the very basis, or a very basic sort of setup for the leg. Before I finish, I'm going to do one more step, just to show how excellent Blender is in terms of these tools. So I have all of these guys here, and I can apply their mirror modifier. So, I think I have to do it individually, do I? I do. There we go. So, I'm going to join them all together and make them a single object. I can always separate them again, so it's no big deal. So Control J, join. So now that's all one object. I can select this, cursor to selected, and then on this here I can go, the origin is this dot. I want that to be here. So the origin of this object to be over here. So the pivot point, I want to be not there, I want it to be there. So I go Object, Transform, Origin to 3D Cursor. And now when I add a mirror modifier, I don't want it on X, I want it on Z. Now I've got both sides done. Okay, we'll leave it up there for now.